The Nebraska Cornhuskers offense just got more dangerous. Let's talk about it. My name's Aaron.
And I'm Paul.
And we're the Big Ten guys on the daily, pushing out Big Ten content, news, rumors, analysis, whatever the heck it is, Big Ten, we're talking about it here. So, Paul, tell them what they need to do.
Just take a quick second, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and get those alerts on. We got a lot more Cornhusker content coming.
Don't miss it. Come on. It's almost time for football. Let's go. Hit those buttons.
Get hyped.
So anyways, big news coming out of Nebraska. Paul, you want to jump on this story?
Yeah, let's do it. So I think we've had videos talking about some of the additions that Nebraska had on the O-line. Obviously, they brought in Rocco Spindler, the steady guard from Notre Dame, and they brought in Elijah Pritchett, left tackle from Bama. Two big names, but now that we're seeing them in camp, they are living up to that hype. Dylan Raiola didn't just say they're doing a pretty good job, didn't just say, like, I've been impressed, they're growing. He said, this is a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. They are that good. And that is massive news for the Cornhuskers. You look at these last few years, Ohio State, elite offensive line. Michigan won back-to-back Joe Moore award-winning offensive line awards. They rode that to the Natty. I think the year they won the Natty, the Joe Moore Award winner was Washington, who their opponent was in the national championship. Good offensive line equals success in college football. So this is huge from the Cornhuskers.
100%. As well, returning starters coming back to this Nebraska line combined for almost 70 starts, which is crazy. So a lot of experience on this offensive line. And then you have Dylan Raiola in the backfield. You have Emmett Johnson, who has a ton of potential at running back, who had about 5 yards per carry. I actually think he had right at 5 yards per carry this past season. And so a lot of potential on this team. So again, it starts in the trenches, Paul. If you can't win in the trenches, it's not going to look good. If you have a good offensive line, it's going to make everything else look good, just like on the defensive side of the ball. If you have a defensive line that's creating a lot of pressure, it's going to make the linebackers, the secondary, look even better. So if Dylan Raiola is right on this offensive line, that means this Nebraska offense can be absolutely dangerous, as we said, and is going to be a problem for a lot of teams.
And we all know Dylan Raiola is crazy talented, but I think a lot of the question has been, is the Nebraska team around him as talented as he is to take Nebraska to the next level? And I love what I'm seeing here. Let me tell you this as a Bears fan. For years, they have been trying. They bring in high draft picks with Justin Fields, Rex Grossman, now Caleb Williams, and none of it has mattered because their offensive line stinks. You can't succeed without a good O-line. Then you look north to Minnesota, who it doesn't matter if they got Kirk, Sam Darnold, whoever. They're elite every year on offense because their O-line is so steady. It makes the quarterback's job so much easier. Dylan Raiola is going to have a strong running game to complement him. He's going to have time to throw. He's going to have clean pockets. And it is going to make this offense so much more dangerous.
Incredibly dangerous. So comment below. Tell us what you think. Nebraska O-line, Joe Moore worthy? What do you think? Comment below. We would love to hear from you. And what do you think, with a great offensive line, the outlook is for the Nebraska Cornhuskers? Next up, Paul. ESPN dropping an article, college football playoffs, 32 teams that can make the college football playoff. Coming in at number 30, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Odds-on bets to win the national championship, plus 15,000. That means if you know nothing about gambling, it means you bet $100, you win 15,000, technically 15,000, and then you get your $100 back. And so you look at making the playoffs odds, 10%. Win the national title, 0.1%. Paul Lloyd Christmas quote, ready, go.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Boom. There you go.
There's a chance. Yeah, Dumb and Dumber. Always got to bring that up when we can. But honestly, 10% to make the playoffs, that's legit. Like that. Like, Nebraska is finally getting some respect on the national level. I would assume ESPN probably puts this article out every year. And if you look at 24 and 23 and 22 and 21 and 20, you're not going to find Nebraska on this list.
Yeah.
Now, they mention the schedule breaks down pretty nicely for them with no Ohio State and no Oregon.
Which we've talked about before.
Which we have talked about. Penn State obviously will be tough.
At Penn State as well. And
yeah, it is at Penn State. And then they get Michigan, USC, and Iowa at home. Some of those could go either way, but this is a strong Nebraska team who has a chance to make a run at the playoffs.
100%. And to make the playoffs, we got to understand last year was the first year they officially did the 12-team playoffs. And so when we look at teams, the worst record in the playoffs was Clemson. They were 10-3, so they were 9-3 going into the conference championship, ended up winning the ACC. That's why they got the automatic bid to make the college football playoff. Now, we also know the ACC was trash. It was bad last year. Miami went 10-2, and they didn't even get they didn't get an at-large bid to make it in. And a big reason was because the ACC was incredibly weak, unlike conferences like the Big Ten or the SEC, or even you could argue for the Big 12.
Yeah.
And so when it comes down to it, a lot of people have said, well, what about Nebraska's schedule? You look at their non-conference, and we're going to jump to the schedule real quick, but you look at their non-conference, and when we take a look at that, you have Cincinnati, which a lot of people forget. Cincinnati is a Big 12 team. They
Power
are
4 school.
That's right. They're a Power 4 school. And so that it's not bad. Akron should be able to kill them. Houston Christian, that's the SEC would schedule them, early to mid-November. That's what they typically do. So that I really see that as 3 wins. It should be. So you look at that for Cornhuskers fans, and we've talked about this a little bit before on the schedule, but that seems about right. Now, when we look at, if they make a path to 10-2, I think Michigan's going to be tough, but the nice thing that is in Nebraska, and how is Bryce Underwood going to be as a true freshman quarterback?
Yeah, and I think as a Michigan fan myself, that's a game for Nebraska. You'd rather play them in September than in November.
Correct.
They're still going to be figuring it out then. You get them at home. I like Nebraska on that one.
I would agree with that. Homecoming against my Michigan State Spartans. If you have tickets to Nebraska games, you send us 2 tickets. Paul's a Michigan fan, but whatever. We will come to Lincoln, and we will go to that Michigan State Nebraska game. I will be cheering for Michigan State. Paul will be cheering for Nebraska.
That's right.
But if you have extra tickets, let us know. Shoot us an email. We'd love to go. Anyways, Michigan State should be able to kill. Maryland kill. Minnesota kill. Northwestern. You have USC. USC right now, of all the Big Ten teams in the coaches poll, receiving votes, they are one of the highest. They are the highest Big Ten team receiving votes. A lot of people are high on USC. It's probably because USC is USC, but I think Nebraska needs to be shown a little more respect. I think Nebraska ends up winning that game. And then you have UCLA, which should be an easy win at the Rose Bowl. And then you have 2 tough games at Happy Valley, at Iowa. But they can only afford to truly lose 2 games on this schedule if they want to make the playoffs. I think and you're probably saying, Aaron, as a football team, you don't go in saying, okay, we can lose against Penn State in this. Right. We're just teachers over here. We're not Division I football coaches. We're not going in there rallying the troops and doing all that stuff. We're just being realists.
Just telling you how it is.
So Penn State would be 1, and then I would tell you it's either Michigan, Iowa, or USC. If you slip up any other game, I don't think it's a playoff. But I think if you were, ideally, if you slipped up, it would be against Michigan early. Mm-hmm. And then you lose to Penn State, which they should be undefeated. That should be good. And then you beat Iowa, you go 10-2. I think if you lose the last 2 in a row, it doesn't look ideal.
No, yeah, those are not the 2 you want to lose. I do think Minnesota on the road is sneaky tough. Nebraska will be a favorite.
Yeah.
They should win that game, but Minnesota is just like a perennial 7-8 win team, and they're scrappy. They're gonna row that boat. That's not a cupcake, but I think in general, yes, there's only one truly elite team on that schedule, and you might only finish the year with 2 or 3 ranked opponents, but it is 10 Power 4 schools probably 7 or 8 teams that are going to be in a bowl game. And do not take any crap from SEC fans.
No, never.
They have their
Never.
8 conference games. They're going to be playing the Citadel and Kennesaw State and some of the most ridiculous schools that you've ever heard
Knoxville
of.
School of the Blind in November.
Yes. Like 10 Power 4 games is a tough schedule. And if they go 10-2, they absolutely belong in the playoffs. And Aaron and I personally will fight tooth and nail with every SEC fan come November if they're trying to argue that Nebraska's schedule was not good enough.
Yeah, fisticuffs. We will throw them. We won't hold anything back, especially if you send us tickets to the Michigan State-Nebraska game homecoming. So don't forget that either. But we'll defend you guys till the death. Anyways, Paul, anything else you got to say?
Just take a quick second, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We have a ton more Nebraska content coming. They're going to be one of the most fun teams in the Big Ten this year.
100%.
So we will be covering them big time.
We'll talk soon.
See ya.
Peace.